Hello everyone, in today's video something a bit different. We're going to demonstrate how you can take a cheaply available Neewer microphone, Neewer USB microphone, available for under £20 on Amazon and on eBay, and fairly substantially improve its performance. Now, these microphones out of the box, the USB versions actually work pretty well. The preamplifier and the USB sections within those devices are of reasonable quality. Not going to challenge a professional audio device by any means, but not as bad as you might think, judging by the very cheap price. Where they fall down, however, is in the quality of the actual microphone capsule. So if you listen to one of these newer microphones, what you tend to find is that the top end and the low end are quite severely rolled off, and the sound is very mid-focused, very upper mid-focused. They have quite a kind of harsh, clipped, nasal sort of sound quality to them, which is okay for the odd casual video, perhaps odd casual voiceover, but certainly not up to the standard of what you'd get if you spend 50, 60, 70 pounds or higher on a reasonable quality microphone, let alone something professional. So in today's video we're going to show how, for the outrageous cost of £13 sterling, you can massively improve the performance of these microphones. And what we're going to do is we're going to fit a Primo EM184 cardioid capsule in place of the, no doubt, less than $1 expense capsule that's fitted as standard into these devices. I'll show where you can get these in the video shortly, so I'll bring up a copy of the web page and you'll see where you can order these. But it's a UK company, but the Primo capsules, I believe, are available fairly widely in different countries, so you should be able to get them fairly easily. So they're £13 including VAT here in the UK. Very small capsule, so some modifications are needed in order to fit it into the retaining plastic bracket inside the newer microphones. But that's fairly easy to do. They do make larger capsules. I couldn't find one on their website that offered the kind of sensitivity and cardioid response required. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, so do feel free to experiment to your heart's content. But this mod does work. So as I say, what you'll need is a newer NW7000 USB microphone, although having said that, this should also work in the 700 and 800 phantom powered XLR versions. So if you have one of those, there is absolutely no reason why this won't also work. For the simple reason that the existing capsule is the same across the entire range. So this should also work. Just to dispel a myth as well, these aren't true condenser microphones in the sense that there is no high plate voltage on the capsule. These are electret condenser microphones. They have a permanently polarized capsule within the units. Therefore, they don't require the full 48 volts phantom power in order to operate. The phantom power, in fact, is regulated down inside these microphones, and its primary function is to drive the small buffer preamplifier and any associated electronics within the case. So it's not actually sitting, it don't have a high voltage as you do in high quality professional condenser microphones. You don't have that high voltage sitting actually on the plates of the condenser capsule itself. That's nothing to worry about. I mean, electric condenser microphones have been around for many, many decades, and they offer very good performance. But it's important to realise that that's the case here, that these are sometimes mislabelled and misunderstood. The first thing you need to do, obviously, is to take apart the newer microphone, having obtained your EM184. And you would do this by unscrewing the collar at the base of the microphone. You then remove the kind of metal outer shield, and you'll need to remove the cover and metal shield from the top of the microphone as well, and I'm showing here in this picture just where the two screws are located in order for you to do that. Now, having removed it, what you'll see is a kind of yellow plastic retainer within the top of the microphone. The existing capsule is just held in with some glue around the outside. So if you just apply some pressure to the front, you should be able to pop that out fairly easily. Now, you will need to be able to solder to do this, because you will need to unsolder the red and black wires from the back of the capsule and solder onto the new capsule. Now, you can get Primo capsules with wires already fitted. I wouldn't advise it because they charge you double the price simply for fitting a couple of what are sort of 3-inch long pieces of cable. But whether you solder at the capsule end or whether you solder at the circuit board end, you do need to solder, unfortunately. So if you can't do that, then you'll need to find someone who can do that for you. You could always take it into an electronics workshop if you can find one. And quite hard to find these days in the throwaway society, but if you have one locally, you can just take it in and ask them. It's a 5-minute job to do it for you. Probably charge you a couple of pounds for the privilege of doing that. So you need to solder the black and the red wires to the back of the Primo capsule. Now, the negative on the capsule is marked with a small negative symbol, as you'll see there in the picture. That is where you would attach the black cable, the black lead, and the red goes to the other connector. Now, in order to secure it into the bracket, I happen to have lying around here in the workshop some kind of thin rubber material, which I just folded into a small tube around the outside of the capsule and pushed it into place securely. You can use anything you like, really. You can use a fairly dense foam if you can find that and kind of fold it around the capsule. You could probably even use maybe something made out of cardboard, just to basically expand the perimeter of the smaller capsule to make it fit. If you do use something that isn't naturally kind of sticky or tacky, is going to stick to the capsule, then some tape or a few dabs of glue wouldn't go amiss there, because you don't want the thing moving around in transit and falling out of its retainer. When you push it in, make sure that you push the front of the capsule flush with the yellow mount. So don't leave it protruding and don't leave it sitting recessed, because if you do that, you'll start to introduce colorations and glitches into the frequency response of the capsule. They seem to be pretty flat. Here you can see I'm bringing up the frequency response. It's not the smoothest in the world, but it's fairly wide band, and it stays within reasonable limits. It stays within a couple of dB across the primary frequency range, certainly across the upper bass, mid-range and lower treble ranges, which is where we want it to be as flat as possible. So it's certainly going to be an improvement over the original capsule in that regard. So having fitted it, the sensitivity is about the same as the original. Obviously on these microphones, without going into the electronics and adjusting those, you can't adjust the input sensitivity from the capsule, but it's in the right ballpark compared to the original. So you shouldn't encounter any clipping or overloading. Certainly that's not been my experience with the microphone and with this particular capsule. So there we are. It's a way to turn your, perhaps, I think I paid £15 for my Neewer NW7000. So it's a way to turn that extremely cheap but quite nicely made budget microphone into something that will perhaps compete with those in the kind of £50 to £100 range, certainly. If you're wondering what the sound quality is like on these, well, this entire video has been narrated using the modified USB Neewer microphone. So that will give you some idea of the sound quality that you can expect when you if you make the modification. So highly recommended. It'll perhaps save you some cash. Certainly for casual gaming and podcasts, etc., you maybe won't need to splash the cash on something more expensive. So there we are. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the sound. There are plenty of downloads out there of fairly clean microphone recordings, so you can compare this to what you've heard elsewhere, just to see what you think of the audio quality. By the way, the preamplifier and the USB device within the Neewer is actually reasonably good. I was expecting a fair amount of background noise, but to be fair, it's actually reasonably quiet, so long as you don't keep the levels too low and then apply too much gain in post, then you should be fine for fairly casual use, or even slightly more than casual use. It's actually a reasonably quiet preamp. So so there we are. Not bad value for money, even in stock form, but certainly very good if you change out the fairly lousy supplied capsule. So I hope you found that useful. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all again soon.